They don't want to integrate with then so-called Negro children mixing with their white kids in school. Protests like this one in New Orleans were typical in places forced to comply with the Supreme Court landmark 1954 Brown v. Board of Ed, ruling segregation in public schools unconstitutional.
Well, we in the White Citizens Council say now, yesterday, today, and forever, as long as there is one living white man in the United States, the Supreme Court is not the law of the land. That decision is not the law of the land now, or it never will be. Never.
On today's episode, we head to our North Carolina plantation turned place for black education. Originally was where the most resistant slaves were sent.
When you come to this place, you are actually, in my opinion, you are transformed because you feel the spirit of the ancestors that once were slaves that lived on this ground. And what I say a lot of times, because their blood, their sweat, and their tears were spilled in this very soil that we're actually walking on.
Still feeling the spirit now on Black land.
And now,
as a brown person, you just feel so invisible.
That's not fiction. Where we're from.
Brothers and sisters, I welcome you to this joyful day.
We celebrate freedom. Where we are.
Get on the ground!
I know someone heard something.
And where we're going.
We the people means all the people.
The Black Information Network presents Blackland with your host, Vanessa Tyler.
The Brick School became a place to educate and uplift the black race in white America. The site of the former Brick School is now the Franklinton Center at Bricks, and like the mythical Sankofa bird, flying to the future while honoring the history of the grounds from the past. Reverend Dr. Douglas Wooten leads that future. Dr. Wooten, welcome to Blackland.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you for having us.
First, congratulations. You were just appointed executive director of the Franklinton Center at Bricks. What is your vision for the future there?
And my vision for the future of Franklinton Center at Bricks is to continue the ongoing witness for justice, equality, and liberation.
Talk about what's done there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so Franklinton Center at Bricks is a social justice retreat center. It is what we call a Center for African American Historical Preservation. We are a center for rural community development, education, and engagement. And we, as I said, a social justice conference center. And we are, because we are situated on 253 acres, we use a portion of those 253 acres to be a land-based innovation. And what we do with that is we plant vegetables and we give them to the community here in Whitaker, North Carolina.
A social justice center is not what this land used to be. It was a working plantation, well known in North Carolina, with a history as the first stop for the most difficult, most resistant slaves.
We actually have a place right behind the administrative building that was called the whipping post. That was a place where some of the roughest slaves were brought to this plantation to be tamed, and they were whipped. And now we have a magnolia tree that's planted there in representation of this is now a safe place. This is a sacred place. And when you're in this place, you do feel the spirit of our ancestors. And I believe the spirit that we are feeling is that they're proud of what this place has become, and most of all, what this place can become.
The school opened with only one student, but at the end of the first year, there were 54 names on the roll book.
More than 10 years ago, a documentary was produced about the Brick School. At the time, the only high school in the state of North Carolina to educate black teens. It was a boarding school, but called a junior college. Students, both boys and girls, learned with their heads and their hands. For the boys, carpentry, machinery. The girls, the domestic sciences. They also learned languages like Greek, and other courses included classes on etiquette.
Everything that I have achieved and accomplished in life, I give it to Brick Junior College.
Back when the school was formed in the late 1800s, higher education for anyone was rare, and for blacks about 30 years from slavery, even rarer. Black students lucky enough to attend, many had parents who worked from sunup to sundown to pay the $8 a month tuition.
So the brick school actually started back in 1895. This property was about 1,100 acres that Julia Briggs purchased, and she created what was called the Briggs Junior College. It was for African Americans that would come to learn different skills, agriculture, and different things to enhance their ability to advance in life.
Dr. Wooten says now he has taken the baton as the new leader. It's 2024, and the mission to uplift our people remains the same.
One of the things that we're doing now that is so important to me is to really focus in on our youth. We want to have, we've developed this program that is healthy choices for youth, bringing in healthy lifestyle and healthy living.
The legacy and the history will live on.
One of my personal dreams and goal while being the executive director is we have 2 historic buildings that need a major renovation, and we want to bring these buildings back to a place that they were so that they can be a museum, that people can come to this place and see how the Briggs school, how the school was, it's about 4 rooms in that school, how it was a 1 through graduating school. We have the boarding house that was where once the principal lived. And from history, from what I understand, there were 4 teachers' cottages along the path that comes into where the administrative building is. One of those cottages still remains, and we want to bring that back to a place that it can be a site where people can come. And actually what we also want to do is to build 3 replica houses of what the teacher's cottage looked like so that it would look like it did back in the days when we were brick school.
Speaking of legacy, although most, if not all, of the original students have passed on, their descendants still speak of the school and the black teachers who taught there, especially the principal, Thomas Inborton, and his wife, Sarah Jane, who made sure no matter what rural farms the students came from, they left bricks ready to fight for their place in a post-slavery world. People like Joseph Holt Sr., whose son Joseph Holt Jr. tells me the family legacy of fighting for education was laid at Bricks.
He told me how he came to be a student there. He was from rural eastern North Carolina, down in Jones County. And back in that day and time, the early part of the 20th century, my dad was born in 1907, and he grew up on a farm. And I guess the most education most people got then, and all that they felt that they needed, black or white, was perhaps to the 8th grade, and a lot of people never got that far.
His father was fortunate. The family's local church sponsored his father to attend the original Bricks school before the school moved to the plantation at Franklinton.
So I think he began there in probably about 1923. And he graduated in 1927. He told me that while he was there, he was elected the president of the student government, or either the president of his senior class. I can't remember for sure which one, but he did well while there and made a lot of friends. And but that's about all I can tell you about the school itself. Franklinton Christian College, there in Franklinton, North Carolina.
Holt tells me his father was such a fierce believer in education, they risked their lives fighting for it.
I was born in 1943. In 1956, after the ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court, after the Brown versus Board ruling, that segregation in the nation's public schools was unconstitutional, my family led the effort to claim, so to speak, that first-class citizenship provision. in education.
A resistant Raleigh school system didn't want 13-year-old Joseph Holt Jr. in their classrooms.
Still, many states resisted accepting Black people as first-class citizens. So it wasn't until 1954 that we saw a decision handed down by the Supreme Court decreeing that segregation in the public schools was unconstitutional. And it was after that, in 1956, that my parents began the effort to integrate the Raleigh City schools. I was entering the 9th grade. I was 13 years old. And as I've often said, my high school years really were the most stressful period in my life.
There were name-calling, bomb threats, pure torture.
Most of that name-calling, in my experience and in my parents' experience, that came via the telephone and through hate mail, okay? And people riding down the street yelling out racial epithets and obscenities and that kind of thing, and calling on the phone at night and threatening your life and that kind of thing. That was very stressful because you never knew what was going to happen. There was always a great deal of uncertainty that we lived with. We lived with that for 4 years. So that was very stressful for my mom and dad and me.
Hateful, racist whites tried any and everything to get the Holt family to back down.
I was determined. I just had to make up my mind that, hey, we're going to get through this. My parents and I, we're going to push through this. We're not going to back down. We're not going to give them in or give them the satisfaction of having defeated us. So it was a matter of quiet determination and perseverance. But it was a very stressful period because I knew that all eyes were on me.
Joseph Holt made it through. Now, history is repeating with yet another Supreme Court ruling, this one against affirmative action in higher education.
Well, sometimes I try to be optimistic, but it's very disappointing to see the efforts being made to retrogress, to turn the clock back. It seems that Black people, that there are so many white people, and I know all white people aren't like this, but it seems that there's a determination and that it's interwoven in the fabric of the United States to make sure that Blacks are given a hard time.
Which is why he says it's vital our kids know the truth, and with truth under fire in some of those same states that resisted integration.
We have to know our history. We have to know from whence we've come. I'm living history of this, and I have friends and peers. We went through a lot in order for them to enjoy what they're enjoying today and that they take for granted.
That brings us back to the grounds of Franklinton Center at Bricks and the Sankofa bird that flies over the property, preserving a history and looking ahead to the future.
We have a designated walking tour. We've got about 12 different sites. At each one of the different spots, the teacher's cottage, the boarding house, the chapel, Hospitality 2, Hospitality 1. There was a post office here on site at Franklinton Center, which is now no longer standing, but we do have the actual mailboxes that were in that house. The site, when you first come in, the open site, that is where the chapel was located for the school. We have just recently launched is what we call Friends of Franklinton Center. We're excited about this project that's going to invite people to become friends of Franklinton Center. And there are several levels that you can enter in on to be a friend of Franklinton Center. And you can visit our website so that you can get more information on Franklinton Center and make a donation from the QR code. And our website is franklintoncenter@bricks.org.
Reverend Dr. Douglas Wooten, best of luck on your mission.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. And again, thank you for taking this time with us and sharing the mission, the vision of Franklinton Center.
I'm Vanessa Tyler. Be sure to like and subscribe to Blackland on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.